Okay, for anybody who's thinking of buying in an HOA, these are some of the architectural controls that you're going to be dealing with. I have to leave my glasses on to read this. But if you read along with me, architectural approval, no landscaping, lawns, plants, shrubs, trees, and above ground decorative features such as fountains, water features, flagpoles, planters, bird baths, sculptures, and walkway and the like collectively called in this declaration the landscaping may be installed anywhere on owner's lot, whether in a public yard or private yard, unless it is approved by the architectural committee in writing prior to installation. No ancillary unit may be constructed or maintained on a lot. No exterior addition, change, or altercation may be made to any living unit or approved ancillary unit until the complete set of plans and specifications are submitted and approved in writing by the Architectural Committee. All plans and specifications submitted to the Architectural Committee must specifically identify in writing the item for which approval is sought and must show the nature, type, size, style, color, shape, height, location, material, floor plan, approximate cost, and other material attributes of the proposed item. All plans and specification will be reviewed by the Architectural Committee for harmony and compatibility of external design and location in relation to the surrounding structures, landscaping, topography, and views from neighboring living units without limiting the generality of the pending sentence. The prior approval of the Architectural Committee also will necessarily for those types of landscaping installed on parcels or lots. All roof-mounted equipment of the type described in 8.6 below, all window coverings, the type described in 8.12 below, all side yard parking areas, and all mailboxes of type described in section 826 below, unless a different time period is specified in this declaration. If the Architectural Committee fails to approve or disapprove the plans and a specification within 45 days after complete and legible copy of the plans and specifications have been submitted to the active adult housing authority, application will be deemed approved. Okay, that's a lot of legalese. First of all, the people aren't voted, they're appointed architectural committees. The people on the Architectural Committee, what kind of training do they have? What kind of training do they have as far as architectural? Limits, effects of approval. Now we'll go down and failures of variances, appeals to the board. It's all BS. Restricted use. Okay? But now we start getting into the signs, no emblems, logos, billboard, any kind to be displayed. That's the section on side. Restricted illegal activities. Restricted, everything is roof-mounted equipment, animals, drilling and mining, trash, wood piles, storage areas, antennas, leasing, encroachments, machinery. What I'm trying to get across to anybody who buys in an HOA, you are not buying the house. You're not buying the lot. You don't own the house. You don't own the lot. You can't do anything to the house on the exterior or the lot exterior. All these rules that I just read to you all have been written in the last 20 years. That first list that I gave you of all the things and restrictions, that wasn't even there in the first set of CC&Rs. Those are what I call slave laws. They're the black codes. This is Jim Crow. I'm trying to get across to you, when you buy into an HOA and you buy for cash and you own it for cash and you have money in the bank, they're coming after you. You're a huge target. They don't have to worry about you having only 10% or 20% down in the house and that they have to wrestle or compete with a bank for the ownership of your house. What they do with these slave rules, now repeat again, I'm 75 years old. I grew up in a small town. I know what Jim Crow is all about. All these rules you've written in there, and you have people going by every week, what I call slave chasers, enforcers of the rules. And the last thing that you're going to allow happen is anybody to do anything to their lot without your permission. And one thing in my case, they ruined the drainage of my lot 20 years ago. They went downtown Buckeye. They got permission to lower the finished floor elevation of my house. Then they raised the property line between me and the golf course. And then they put a berm between me and the property line. They sabotaged my house forever and ever. They intended that would last forever and ever. I diffused it. I found out through due diligence. I used to sell real estate. I took a 90-hour course in real estate. I know what plat maps are for. I know how to read documents. I'm a licensed Federal Aviation Authority mechanic, licensed by the FAA to fix airplanes, release and dispatch airplanes, dispatch and release airplanes, receive and dispatch. I had that authority. Now, what I'm trying to get across to anybody, I bought in here 20 years ago innocently thinking, what's the hurt? What could they do to me? What they did to me is they're coming up with all these bogus things that I did to my house 20 years ago. A lighthouse I've had on my property somewhere for the last 20 years. Wind chimes for the last 20 years. Anything that I put on my house before they elected a board and had an architectural committee, I did. But once you get an architectural committee, they're assigned to once a week go through every neighborhood looking for discrepancies, looking for anything that's been added to any lot without permission. And then they start sending you do better letters, fines, do better letters, things like that, legal documents that are going to handcuff you and bring you into court. These innocent letters, these courtesy letters that they send you for 52 cents are going to end up being a legal document, part of a lawsuit against you if you don't respond to these people on the architectural committee. Now, they're not elected. They're appointed. We don't know what skills they have. And my biggest, and I'll close with this, I've had 2 courses in human factors. And out here in Buckeye, if you mention human factors to anybody, they look at you like you have 2 heads. Human factors have been around for 60 years. That's how people react. Human factors are all the flaws. First, in human factors class, they have you all go introvert and look at how your feelings. Do you have prejudices? Are you race driven? Do you have jealousy? Do you have envy? Do you have groupthink where you don't dare, even though you know something's wrong, You won't dare say anything about it just to go along with the group. Groupthink. Groupthink is a human factor. Jealousy is human factors. Greed is human factors. Nepotism is human factors. Fraternity is human factors. All these human factors are what you're going to run into in an HOA. If you come in here as a single person, they only want to deal with you. When you go into that HOA to talk to anybody, there's going to be 3 or 4 of them and 1 of you. And if you find anything wrong with the HOA, 10 years ago, about 12 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago, when I found out what they did to Track Day, they plugged it up and they sabotaged my lot for drainage. I weighed about 187 pounds. Right now, after 10 years of laying awake at night, every night, and losing my appetite and dodging letters from the HOA and fines from the HOA, them making an example out of me, throwing me in jail on a warrant that I never got served on, things like that, I have got total HOA syndrome. Don't let this happen to you. Don't ever buy into an HOA. Unless you got 4 or 5 lawyers on retainer that are construction defect lawyers, civil rights lawyers, don't even think about an HOA. I was under the illusion, you see a lot of videos where I was doing things to my lot to make them drain. I was under the illusion that I was buying a lot and a house inside of an HOA. Nothing could be further from the truth. I didn't buy the house. I didn't buy the lot because they belong to the HOA. They're totally under the HOA's jurisdiction. All right? It's what they say. What I bought was the space. It's like buying a condo. Don't be fooled. Don't let them sucker you in and have them sign here like this is innocent. You're getting married to the HOA. You're getting married to an HOA that over the years, if you don't respond to them and you get sick of all of them picking on you all the time, and you rebel. I kicked out of the HOA for almost 7 years. For 7 years, I don't go on your website. For 7 years, I haven't been allowed in the building. For 7 years, I haven't been allowed to participate in any of the programs the HOA has. Okay? But in that 7 years, I've given probably $10,000 in dues for 2 houses, and neither I or the person that lived in my other house could use the HOA. Now, get it through your head. HOAs are evil. They're evil. This is Jim Crow. They can't stop you from buying into an HOA. They might hate you. They might hate everything about you. Your politics, the color hat you're wearing, whether you're an election denier or not, whether you're from the Midwest or from California. All right? Don't get involved with it because they can use all this politic on you. And once, like I said, I found out there was something wrong with my neighborhood. They filled in one of the access easements and drains in my neighborhood. I whistle blew on them, and I got the common area decertified, written up. And ever since then, I've been a target. I've lost 30 pounds in 10 years. I don't sleep at night. If you have some kind of problem, if you're like me in your early 60s, mid 60s, and the doctor says if you don't lose 30 pounds, you're going to die, If you don't lose 30 pounds, it's absolutely mandatory that you lose 30 pounds. Go buy a house in an HOA, find something wrong with it or find something wrong with a neighborhood, start whistleblowing to where they have to spend money to correct it, and you will see when they start attacking you and sending you letters every week and making an example out of you because you stood up to them. That's what's in store for you. I'm telling you, this is a man of experience. I've been everywhere. I've done everything. I've lived in cities. I've lived in countries. I'm a licensed airplane mechanic for the FAA. I worked on airplanes for 30 years. I would never have been this dishonest doing any kind of work on an airplane. Okay? I got nothing but dishonesty from the HOA. And like I showed you reading that list of things that you can and can't do, there are people that are on an untouchables list. They can do whatever they want. Nobody stops them. You go by and their yard has got this, it's got that in it, and you know that they probably didn't have to say anything or ask for permission. Why? Because they're election deniers from the Midwest wearing a red hat. Okay? I'll end it there. I'm starting to get political. But I see what's going on in this country. When you buy into a HOA, they can't stop you. But once you get in, they can Jim Crow you to death. Jim Crow. They have all these rules so they can use them against you. These are slave laws, the black laws. Thank you for listening.